Parashat Vayakhel Tov Shien Pai Hai. B'siyata d'Shemaya. We're going to start with the first pasuk. Vayakhel Moshe Skol Adas B'nai Yisrael. And Moshe tells Klal Yisrael the tzivui of building, making the Mishkan. You have to bring the Nidvas HaMishkan. The Ikech Heilig of the Nidvas HaMishkan was Rachmana Libe Boye. Hashem wants our heart. It should be Nidvas HaLeiv. Matbeah Shel Eish. You bring it with a fire. That's how you build the Mishkan. And before Moshe Rabbeinu tells them about the mitzvah of Shabbos, that even though you are busy building the Mishkan, but you should remember, you shouldn't do any melucha on Shabbos. Rashi explains that you should know that even the melechas Mishkan is not doich Shabbos. Now Rashi says right in the beginning, Vayakhel Moshe, when was this? Lemochras Yom HaKippurim kisheyorad min haor. And because the Rishonim are masber, that the tzivu for the Nidvas HaMishkan came as a tikkun, as a tshuva for the Chatu Eigel. So when Moshe Rabbeinu first went up to ask forgiveness for Klal Yisrael, kapara. Once he came down, Ayom HaKadosh, kapara, salachti kidvarecha. Now we have to do the Chaylik HaTshuva of building the Mishkan. And that's going to be the tshuva for what they made the Chatu Eigel. But tzaddikim used, what do you want to say?
Where were all the kelim? Moshe Rabbeinu was already showed by Hashem to build, he commanded, build the menorah. Yeah. Where were the kelim and the lechem apanim? Where were the kelim supposed to be before there was the intent to, like, where were they intended to be before the Mishnah came along?
This is the whole shaila in the Rishonim. If Chaz v'Shulam, if Yidden wouldn't have made Chaz v'Shalom the Eigel, if there wouldn't be a mitzvah of a Mishkan, the Rechaim HaKudosh speaks about it, or it anyways would have been a mitzvah to make a Mishkan or whatever we have in the Mishkan. But now that it came after the Eigel, it was also meant to be a kapara for the Chatu Eigel. But even though Hashem would have wanted, others say no, then it would have been Ashras HaShechina in every house. There would be the same Ashras HaShechina like in the Mishkan. After the Chatu Eigel, Hashem said, I want to have a specific house, that from there you could come and take the Ashpur, what you have of the Ashras HaShechina. But Rashi mentions Lemochras Yom HaKippurim, so a lot of tzaddikim say it as B'derech Halotze, B'derech Tzachis, Vayakhel Moshe Lemochras Yom HaKippurim. And they mean to say, usually before Yom Kippur, everybody is moichel, one the other, each other is moichel for whatever you did something bad. We come Yom HaKodesh and Shiel, we're all together, Kish Echad, Belev Echad. But sometimes the day after, all the old cheshbonis wake up again. You did me like this, you did me like this. So Vayakhel Moshe, when does Moshe have to make Vayakhel Lemochras Yom HaKippurim? Because on Yom Kippur, everybody, it's beseder, we are together. We have to just keep it on, even Lemochras Yom HaKippurim. And interesting, I once saw in the Sefer Seder Ayoim, there's a Sefer Seder Ayoim written by one of the Rishonim, all from the first Achronim. His name was Reb Moshe Gabbai. The Bes Yosef brings him down a lot. The Sefer Seder Ayoim. Here, when it comes to Yom Kippur, we usually know, we could see in Shulchan Aruch, that in the Aluchas of Yom Kippur, it said that you have to forgive one the other, you have to be moichel each other, because otherwise we don't have a kapora on Yom Kippur, because Averis sheben Adam lechaveiroi, Yom HaKippurim mechaper, until he is maratzas chaveiroi. So the Moshel in Shulchan Aruch Simen Tov Reish Vav is a simen sheyefayis Adam chaveiroi be'erev Yom Kippur. What do you say yefayis? To be mefayis, to apologize. Yeah, that's how it's called, pius, to apologize. That everyone should apologize and ask forgiveness from his friend, because otherwise on this Yom Kippurim is not mechaper until you get from your friend forgiveness. So we do it on Erev Yom Kippur. And that Sefer Seder Ayoim, it goes like this. He speaks about the Seder of Yom Kippur. It comes to Motzei Yom Kippur, we daven Ma'ariv, and then he goes on. After Ma'ariv, everyone goes around and asks forgiveness from his friend, should be a moichel. And he's masber with this yisoid. Because Yom Kippurim was only mechaper an Aveidus sheven adam l'mokoim, but ben adam l'chaveiro, you have to ask forgiveness from Yechav Yefais as chaveiro, you have to apologize. So now that we're after Yom Kippur, Amotzi Yom Kippur, we want to make the completion, we want to make the Gemara of the Kapora, so we ask each other forgiveness. So he writes it, Amotzi Yom Kippur he writes it, not on Erev Yom Kippur. Amotzi Yom Kippur, you got Baruch Hashem the Kapora of Yom HaKadosh, you want to have it completed, you should ask forgiveness one the other. But Lamaisa, like we say, it's maybe better to do it on Motzi Yom Kippur. Because on Motzi Yom Kippur, it's like we see over Vayakhel Moshe, L'mochles Yom Kippurim, that's when you have to be Mamshich, the Vayakhel Moshe. We could use it now also. We are now after Purim. Purim, it says in Tekin Zohar, that Yom Kippur is considered a holy day like Purim. Yom Kippurim, the Zohar HaKodesh uses the kaf not as part of the word of Kapora, Kippurim, like a kaf adimyoin. Yom Kippurim, it's a day like Purim. Purim is even higher than Yom Kippur, because always the mi nitle b'mi, katoin nitle begodoin. So if you say this is like this, so it means to say that that's even bigger. If you say on Yom Kippur, it's Yom Kippurim, so Purim is even higher than Yom Kippur. So regarding this, we see every year on Purim. Even though if someone has a cheshbon with his friend, he forgives him on Purim. You drink a little bit, you get high. Macht nicht tois. He could even kiss him and hug him, no matter what he did to him. We see this, the Heilige Wurke Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchok Mavurke once mentioned, and he said, interesting, he says, by Klal Yisrael, when they get drunk a little bit, they finish up each the other hugging and kissing. Lahavdei lefalf avdulas by the goyim imesawoylam. When they get drunk, it ends up with police beating up each the other. Sometimes they even kill, shooting. What's the pshat? He says Rabbi Yitzchok Mavurke gewaldig. Nichnas yayin yotza soid. When wine comes in, comes out the true, the soid, the depth of the person. Kalal Yisrael, their chiyas is ve'ahavta l'rayacha kamoicha. Kelanu, we are all one soul. For an Hashem Agdoishe, Chatziva Matachas Kisakovet. What happens during the year? Sometimes we have busha, we are ashamed, or other cheshboin is that disturbs. It doesn't let us connect how we really want to connect. You drink a little bit, nechnes yain yotze soid. It develops, it brings out the soid, what you have in yourself, and that's why you end up putting all cheshbonis aside and loving the person, because he's a Jew. $5 by the goyim, their soid is al-char b'chotichya. Their chiyas is killing each other. But during the year, no, he is, how do you call it, sophisticated? No, not sophisticated. He is a besser goy. He's not, he is a gentleman. He wouldn't do something. So he plays it very well, but when he drinks a little bit, comes out the premiers, so they start shooting and beating up each other. So now we're after Purim, Vayakhel Moshe. What we did on Purim, L'mochles Yom Kippurim, we have to be mamshir, that achdis that we had on Yom Tov Purim, to be it mamshir, that's why it comes down right over here, Vayakhel Moshe. And Befrat. This week is Parashat Parah. We read Shabbos, the Parsha of Parah Adima. The reason is, Taros and Shal Yisrael, when the Beis Hamikdash was Kaim, people had to start getting ready. If someone had on himself Epes Tumah, Befrat Tumas Meis, he had to have Efer Parah, 7 days. He had to get ready, so they started learning Klal Yisrael, the Aluchas of Parah Adima, of Tahara, Taros and Shal Yisrael. In order they should be able to make the Korban Pesach, Bismanoi. So we learn Parashat Parah, but it has specific shaykhis to what we speak now this week in Parashat Vayakhel. Why? Because tzaddikim use it very much, that the biggest tahara comes down on Yiddish kinder when they are ba'achdes. That brings tahara on Klal Yisrael. They even used with a Loshe Chazal. There's a Loshe Nagemor in Masechta Chulin, Dogim Shebeyam, Asifoson Zuhi Taroson. The Dogim Shebeyam, you don't have to make Shlita, you don't have to make Malicha, You don't have to make bedikois. You just have to have a snapper and kaskeses, the two simone tahare. And if you take it out from the water, asifosa means to take it out, to be it oise from the water, and it's kosher. You could chop down the head and start eating it, even raw. You don't have to make no malicha of dam, nothing. Dogim shebayam asifoson ziyitarason. That's the tahara. You don't need any other malucha to make it ready. It should be ready for people to eat. Just taking it out from the water if it's a kosher dog. So Tzadikim, the son of the Heilige Rishon, the oldest son, his name was Reb Shulam Yosef. He said, Yisrael nimshali le dogim. Befrat now a chodesh oder, mazel oder dogim. So he used this lashon. Ma dogim shebeyam asifoson ziyitarason. Af Yisrael asifoson. The gathering of Klal Yisrael asife ziyitarason. This is the tahara of Yiddish kinder. And I once saw that the Chizuk brings down from one of the Rishonim, Rabbeinu Ephraim. Rabbeinu Ephraim writes, the word Vayakhel is the same gematria like mikveh. Why? Very easy. Vayakhel has kuf, vav, and a hay. Also has a yud and a lamet, that's mem, that's 40. So we have in Vayakhel the gematria of mikveh. So Rabbeinu Ephraim explains, Vayakhel, when Klal Yisrael is together, that's metayel like a mikveh. Vayakhel is metayel like a mikveh. So not stam this week's Parsha Vayakhel falls on Parshas Parah to teach us. You want to have Taroso Shal Yisrael by being mamshir the achdis of Pirim. Being mamshir the achdis that we had on Pirim, Esther tells Motcha Tzadik Leich Kenoises Kol HaYehudim. We want to be mamshir Yeshua. Kenoises Kol HaYehudim, gather all Klal Yisrael. And not only they should be gathered together, they should have such a madrega of achdis that they shouldn't eat 3 days and 3 nights. But she mentions v'tzumu olai. They should be fasting because of me. They should forget from their own problems that they have, that they are in a sakana. They should only be thinking of my sakana, that I'm going into the king without being called. Lo nikresi lo v'yalamelech v'tzumu olai. They should be fasting because of me. V'gam aniver naroisai otzim kein. I'm going to be fasting on the same way for their sake, not for my own sake. That's the biggest madrega of achdis, forgetting from their own problem and fasting and praying and davening for the other one. Leich kenoises kol HaYehudim, gather them. And what they should do? They should be fasting v'tzimu shloishes yomim laila v'yoim v'tzumu alai. V'gam aniver naroisai otzim kein. I'm going to do it for their sake. That's the biggest, that's the koyach of achdis that we take from this Yom Tov Pirim. We take it from chodesh oder, dogim shebayam, mazel oder dogim, and that brings the gewaltige tahara for Yiddish kinder. I'm going to tell you what I thought a little bit this Yom Tov Pirim. We see that the pasuk finishes, by the end of the Megillah it says, V'yemei HaPurim ha'eila lo yavru metoich HaYehudim. They won't go by. And from this Chazal say that even when Mashiach is going to come, Kol HaMayadim yiyu b'teilim, Aval Yemei HaPirim won't be b'teilim. They're going to stay with us even when Mashiach is going to come. But we also teach it. Tzadikim used to say, V'yemei HaPurim ha'eila lo yavru. It doesn't go by. It doesn't pass by. It stays with you. It's not that Purim went by. You have another Purim within yourself. A Purim leaves over a shefa for the whole year. The Oyev Yisrael brings down in a sefer, the after of Mishenech Nesod Marbim Besimche. He says Besimche is the equal gematria to Shana, 355. Shana. We always say against you, Freilich. You should be the whole Shana Besimche. The whole Shana should be Besimche, because from Chodesh Adar you could be Ma'oire Simche for the whole year. Mar Besimche for the whole Shana. So Purim doesn't pass by, it doesn't go by, it stays by you the Purim. So I thought this Purim like this. We see that in the Megillah it says, after eating the first Suda by Achashverosh together with Esther Amalke, Sudas Esther, it says in Pasuk, Vayetze Haman bayoyim hahu sameach v'toiv life. He went out happy and toiv life. How do you say toiv life in English? Good-hearted? Good-hearted? He was in a good mood. He was sameach v'toiv life. He went out from Parah. And the Holy Sfarim, the Baditche Verovik Kedushas Levi asks, How could it be that such a Rasha, Haman should be by him Simcha and Leif Toiv? So the Kedushas Levi explains that Haman was a big Rasha. He was very big in the Tumah, but he ate the Seder by Esther. And once he ate the Suda of Esther that had such a ashpu of Kedusha on his body, that it made him besimcha v'toiv life, but it didn't keep too long. Once he saw Matcha Tzadik and Matcha v'loi kam v'loi zam imani, he was back home on the Rasha. But at least for a while, it made him someach v'toiv life because he ate by Esther Amalke. That's how the Kedushas Levi explains. So I want to add a little bit on this, like this. There's a word in the name of the Heilige Rebbe Reb Moshe Leib from Sassev. The Rebbe Reb Moshe Leib from Sassev. They say in the name of the Heilige Rizhener that in Bashamayim, if someone doesn't say Rebbe Reb Moshe Leib, it just says Reb Moshe Leib. Bashamayim, they ask him why. It's Ke'ilu Atayne. Why he didn't say Rebbe Reb Moshe Leib. When you say the Rebbe Reb Moshe Leib, you should mention twice Rebbe, the Rebbe Reb Moshe Leib of Sassev. He says on the posting that Yaakov Avinu gives the bracha, the blessing, to Menashe and Ephraim. It says over there, Vayevorchein bayoyim ahu leimoir, Yesimchu Elekim ke'Ephraim v'chemenashe. Says the Rebbe Reb Moshe Leib, the biggest bracha that Yaakov gave to Menashe and Ephraim, that they should only be thinking of that day. They should never be doik what's going to be tomorrow, from where I'm going to manage. How am I going to marry off my children? How am I going to pay my bills in a month from now? You shouldn't have to be doig. You could do what you have to do, and you should do what you have to do. But you shouldn't worry so much. Don't have daige. What was the blessing? They should always be talking about this specific day. Like there's a Mamar HaChocham, Ha'ovar Ayin, Ha'osid Adayin, Ha'hoi V'keref Ayin, Dagom en Ayin. Why should you worry? And we see Rashi explains on the pasuk Tomim Tiyeh Hashem Alekecha. Rashi explains Hisalachim b'temimis. Go with Hashem b'temimis. It's a tzapaloi. Hope to Him. V'loi sachker acher v'asidois. Don't be choiker. How do you say choiker in English? You shouldn't be
making chakiris.
Making chakiris, yeah. In a yeah, you shouldn't. V'loi sachker. And what? You shouldn't worry and be choiker. What's going to be in the future? That's how Rashi explains Tomim Tiyeh Hashem Alekecha. So that was the bracha Vayevorchein bayoyim ahi leimoir. Investigate. Oh, that's the really, the interpretation of the word Chakir is you shouldn't investigate what's going to be ba'osid. Kol ma sheyavo yelechu kabel b'tmimis. That's how Rashi explains. So the biggest bracha is bayoyim ahi leimoir. That's how the Rebbe Moshe Leib explains. I once thought that could be pshat also. What we say in Posik, we read it now on Purim, the Parsha of Vayovei Amalek, and it says over there, Tzevi Elochem ba'Amalek mochor. So there's a known touch of tzaddikim that Amalek usually tells a person, you want to become a tzaddik? I'm ready, but not today. Today you just go finish the day enjoying, doing whatever you want. From tomorrow, you're going to become a good tzaddik. You're going to start a new day. It's going to be, everything is going to be good. And that's how he works with the person day by day. Every day tells him, tomorrow, but today, Sevi Elochem ba'Amalek mochor. The Amalek that tells you, you're going to be starting tomorrow, with that Amalek you have to fight. You have to start now. That's why it says over there by Maimed Har Sinai, V'kidashtom, Hayoimi Mucher. You want to purify Klal Yisrael? You want to bring out them Kedusha? You have to start Hayoim. V'kidashtem Hayoimi Mucher in Parshas Yisrael. That's what Tzaddikim said. I think you can also use it as another way. Tzevi Elochem ba'Amalek mochor. Amalek wants to bring in worries in Klal Yisrael. What's going to be tomorrow? What am I going to do tomorrow? You don't have to think about tomorrow. Think about the hoive, about the present. Don't worry about the future. Don't think about the past. Tzevi Elochem ba'Amalek. Fight with the Amalek that brings you in worries and daiges about what's going to be mochor. Don't think about the mochor. Live with it today, with the hoive. And that could also be pshat we see in Pasuk that we see on Pesach. V'gadet alavincha bayoyim ahi leimor. It says over there, bayoyim ahu leimor. Yeah, you have to teach your son the Agoda. Could be the pshat that teaching your son the Agoda means you teach him the Emuna. V'gadet alavincha. What should you tell? A father should tell his son bayoyim ahu leimor. You just have to think of this specific. The son comes and he asks you, Father, what's going to be tomorrow? You answer him, no mochar. We don't worry about tomorrow. They also quote it in such a way. The Ovar is zichroinus. The past is zichroinus, memories. The Osid is the myoinus. What do you know what's going to be in the future? It's the myoinus. The Hoive, that's nisyoinus. That's the nisoin of a person, the present, to know how to use it. So the Ovar is zichroinus, the Osid is the myoinus, and the Hoive, that's the nisoin of a person. So that was the brucha. So we could say, so that could be also what it says over there, that Motcha Tzadik Esther Amalke, they lived every day. Baruch Hashem Yoim Yoim. We see in the Megillah, Ivechol Yoim V'Yoim Mordchem Esaleich Lifnei Chatzar HaMelech Lifnei Shar HaMelech Ladas Mashaloi Esther. Every day he took it a day at a time. Now, when Haman eats over there the Suda, it was on Pesach, the Suda of Esther. What's the pshat? Vayakhel Haman bayoyim ahu sameach v'toiv leiv. For sure, he comes out from the Suda. It's bayoyim ahu. It should say Vayakhel Haman sameach v'toiv leiv. He came out sameach v'toiv leiv from the Suda. Could be as we speak now. He was by the Suda of Esther. And it was the first time he heard such a language of Bayoim Ahu. It was Pesach. Esther was talking, she was talking about Bayoim Ahi Leimoir. Vayakhel Haman Bayoim Ahi. He comes out with Bayoim Ahi. A new definition. You live with the present, Bayoim Ahi. So for sure he was Sumeach V'Toiv Leiv. But once he came home, he starts talking to his wife and his Oyavim, and he says, you know what happened to me, something good today? Nothing. And right away, also tomorrow I'm going to be there. He lost it over there. He was only Sameach V'Toiv Leiv because you start thinking about tomorrow and what's going to be a day after, what's going to be afterwards. So that was the koyach of Sameach V'Toiv Leiv, is when you have the Bayoim Ahi, you only have this specific day on your mind. You don't worry what's going to be. You don't remember what was. You just take it this day at a time and you live with Hashem. That could bring you to the real Simcha and Leiv Toiv. And that's the pshat that the Mechaber finishes Hilchas Megillah, V'Toiv Leiv Mishte Tomet. You have to take from the Megillah, Toiv Leiv Mishte Tomet. How could you get Toiv Leiv Mishte Tomet? If you only, I can also use a small joke. They once said that a Yid, in the Alter Heim, a Chassidische Yid, versteht sich, he liked to drink a little bit schnapps and vodka. He once came to the doctor, and the doctor told him, look, your blood labs show that the alcohol that you're drinking doesn't do any good to you. You have to stop drinking. So he told the doctor, interesting, the alcohol doesn't do good to me? When I drink, I feel so good about myself. It does the best what could be. So the doctor answered him, look, could be b'shas ma'aseh, you feel good, but after a while it does harm to you. So he answered the doctor, if that's the case, it's no problem, because by me it's always b'shas ma'aseh. He said, by me it's always b'shas ma'aseh. So if b'shas ma'aseh does good to me, so there's no problem, it's always b'shas ma'aseh. So what did I want to say with this? So what did I mention before? When you say that if you want to take, Toiv Leiv Mishte Tomid, how do you come to be Toiv Leiv Mishte Tomid? It's always b'shas ma'aseh. You don't think what was before, what's going to be. If you only think the whole time of b'shas ma'aseh, Mishte Tomid, you could reach this madrege of being with Toiv Leiv. Burich atu Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol oniyu b'dvoroi. Amen. When Moshe Rabbeinu tells Klal Yisrael everything that you need to make for the Mishkan, it says over there in Pasuk that everybody bought, and it says, Vanesiim haviu. What did the Nesiim bring? The Nesiim of Klal Yisrael, the Avnei Shoim and Avnei Meliyim. And Rashi says that the word Nesiim is Choseh, without a Yid. And Rashi says, what's the reason? Rashi brings down from Reb Nosson. Reb Nosson says like this, that the Nesiim, they said, look, The tzibur should bring what they're going to bring. Whatever is going to be missing, we're going to fulfill it. We're going to be mashlim. And the end was that the tzibur brought everything. It was even hoisted that they even brought extra. So the Nesiim said, what could we bring now? So they brought the Avnei Hashoim and Avnei Meliyim. And because they were in this Atzel, in the beginning they were, how do you say Atzlis in English? They were lazy. They were lazy. That's why Nechseru Ois Mishmam, they are missing the Ois, the Ois Yud. And they say in the name of the Chadish Shirim, why Tak is missing the Ois Yud? Because you're missing in the Yiddishkeit, in the Yehadus, in the Yehudi. If someone is lazy, he's not a Zoris, he's missing in a part of Yiddishkeit. Because in order to be a Yid, you have to have Zrizis. You need it on every, whatever. If it's in the morning to get up, it's Gabe Kuari, Zman Krishma, Zman Tefillah. Whatever you need to do, you have to do it with his Zrizis.
Who's Rabbi Nassan? It's funny, but Nassan means Natan is to give.
Yeah, so.
Rashi I never seen Rabbi Nassan.
Yeah, but interesting. You don't have a lot of times Rabbi Nassan in Chazal.
When it comes to giving.
When it comes to giving, he is the one explaining how you have to give. Yeah? Gewaldig over Rabbi Nassan. It's for sure not Rabbi Nassan from Breslau. Yeah, that's
assuming.
Yeah, you understand. Maybe he was named after this Rabbi Nassan. So he says like this. So Rashi explains because they were in this Atzel, so they're missing this ois of their name. I once saw someone writing a gewaldige Sach that the Choyve Salvovois in the Agdome of a Sefer Choyve Salvovois, he's debating between himself if he should write the Sefer or not, and he explains what's his suffix. He says like this: from the one side, he thought, who am I to write a Sefer? Mr. Sefer for Yiddish Kinder, for Klal Yisrael. Mi onoichi. He was afraid that maybe it's Gaive. He's not in such a madrege. He should write the Sefer, the Holy Choyve Salvovis. On the other hand, he thought to himself, maybe the reason why it tingles him in his heart, he shouldn't write, is not because he really wants another. It's just out of laziness. It's a hard thing to sit and write and write. Even when you have something clear in your mind, to sit down and write it down on paper, it's not an easy task. So his laziness, that's from where it comes, this machshava, this argoshe. So the Maise, he doesn't say what he was machriya, but we see what he was machriya. He wrote the Sefer. So the kasha is, if you would ask a Yid, when you have a suffix, on one hand, there could be gaive, on the other hand, could be atzlis. What should weigh down? How do you call it? What should weigh over one the other?
Tip the scales.
Yeah, what should?
Tip the scale.
Tip the scale. So usually you would say that gaive is a very bad midah. Chazal say, on the only midah that Hashem says, Ein ani v'hi yechoil loder b'moder achas. I once even heard in the name of the Pnei Menachem. His yahrzeit was on Sunday, the Pnei Menachem of Ged. He once said, it's hard to say the Lashon, but he once said, he asked, and he said, we know that Hashem is a koil yochel, yeah? He could do anything. But he said, we see in Chazal that on one specific thing, they use the Lashon that Hashem can't do it. You know what? Alabal gaive. Ein ani v'hu yechoil lode b'moder achas. Hashem, that's a koil yochel. But on this he says, this I can't live together with him. Even the koil yochel says, with a balgaive, ein ani v'hi yechoil lode b'moder achas. We can't live together. So that's the problem of gaive. Now, atzlis, all right, laziness is very not good. But if we have a suffix on a pa'ul, if we should do it or not, and on the one hand you have the chashash of gaiva, on the other hand you have the chashash of atzlis, why did the Choyve Salvovis be machriya and he wrote to say the Choyve Salvovis? So we see from this a gewaldige Sach. No matter how bad gaiva is, but not doing is even worse. A person is created, he is here on this oilam u'asiyah, he should be doing, not sitting a foot on a foot and not doing anything. You have to refer to oilam u'asiyah, maise. If there's a chashash of laziness, you lose your shaykhis to this world in oilam ha'maise. You have to be doing. Now, if you have a chashash of gaiva, you have to work on that you shouldn't come to gaiva. But at first you have to be doing. And if the Chashash was on the other hand, it's Atzlis. Atzlis you're missing in the Yiddishkeit. You're missing in your whole Yiddishkeit because of your laziness. It says, the Pasuk goes and he says that Klal Yisrael brought the Nidvas HaMishkan. It says over there, V'amelocha hoisa dayom, l'chol ha'melocha la'ases hoisa v'hoisa. That Rashi is masbid that whatever they brought, the Nidvas HaMishkan was enough for whatever you needed, and it was even v'hoisa, it was even extra. So it's interesting a little bit, because on the one hand you say dayom means it was enough, and v'hoisa means that it was extra. So the Rechaim HaKudosh goes with a big chiddush and he explains that there was a nes. Really, they brought so much Zav v'Kesef that there should have been extra. But Hashem wanted that no Yid should have a machshuva. Who knows, maybe my Zav v'Kesef didn't go into the Nidvas HaMishkan. It wasn't part of the Mishkan. Hashem made the nes that it absorbed even more Zav v'Kesef than it was needed, so nothing was left over. It was really v'hoisir. Hashem made it should be dayom. That's how the Rechaim HaKudosh explains. But I once saw that the Maram Shif, at the end of Masechta Chilul, there is small verter of the Maram Shif. When he finishes his Pirush on Masechta Chilul, the Maram Shif, he has Drushim Nachmadim, short Drushim. He writes one word, V'amelocha hoisa dayom v'hoisir. He says dayom midde v'hoisir. One word, midde v'hoisir, and the definition is very poshut. How do you know that there was enough? Only if there is extra. If there's no extra, who says there was enough? Maybe another bit of gold was able to go in, but we didn't have that. How do you know that it's daim? It was for sure enough if you have leftovers. If you give for a person a meal to eat and he finishes the whole plate, you can't know if he is satisfied, if he is full. If he leaves over, you know that he was already satisfied.
He was to give shiurim.
No.
What to build?
Yeah, but could be that the same kaile could take a little bit more gold. Like this, it was pulled a little bit. It was stressed a little bit. And like this, Taka, for sure they finished all the kaile, but there was the ability, some more should go in. Once there was extra, now you know it was dayom. So this is what the Maram Shif says. Dayom, midavoise. How do I know there was dayom? Because there was extra. We could explain also why the song of Tzuma Shelo Yachalni. We sing on Shabbos, Tzuma Shelo Yachalni. We finish, Savanu v'hoisarnu kidvar Hashem. What's the pshat? Like we say now, Savanu. How do you show that we were Savanu satisfied? Because v'hoisarnu, we left over. Kidvar Hashem, like we see over here in Pasik. By the Torah, how do you know there was dayom? Midde v'hoisir. So Savanu v'hoisarnu. If we are Savanu, how do you know v'hoisarnu? Because we left over. That's a simmer that there was Savanu. Yesterday was Shifsir. Shifsir other, Yud Zayin other was the yahrzeit of the Pachad Yitzchok from Beyam. That's the first Beyam Rebbe. The first Beyam Rebbe's yahrzeit was on Shifsir yesterday. Before I want to speak about his yahrzeit for a minute, I just want to mention a small zach. By Chassidim, the minig is that we don't say on Tachnen, Shitzir and Shifsir. Even a normal year that Purim is in Yerushalayim only Tezvov, not like this year Purim Hamashilish. So Yidalad and Tezvov you don't say Tachnen because it's Purim. But the minig oilam is that you don't say Tachnen also on Shitzir and Shifsir. Tzaddikim said that we don't say Tachnen those 2 days. Why? Because the Gemara has a Havamim in Masechta Megillah that in those places that they have to go in to hear the Megillah L'yoyim HaKnisa, so we know that they are Magdim, Megillah Nekrais, be it Aleph, Yid Beis, Yid Gimel. The Gemara asks, maybe they should rather wait for the next Yom HaKnisa, and they should come in, V'ayim Shitzer, V'ayim Shifzer, they should read the Megillah on the 16th day of Adar, the 17th day of Adar, and the Gemara says no. It says V'lo Yavoir, you can't pass by after Tezvov. You could be Magdim Kriyas HaMegillah, but you can't pass by. But the Gemara had a Havamina that we should be able to read the Megillah on Shitzer and Shifzer. So that's why we don't say Tachnen. And the question is very strong. There's so many Havaminas in Gemara, in the whole Shas, and we never see that because of a Havamina we do something la'aluche. If the maskana of the Gemara wasn't like this, so we don't do this. So why over here we go according to the Havamina, and we say Taka, we don't read the Megillah, but at least we don't say Tachna those 2 days. I once said that the Avnei Nezer of Sochchov said that on Purim, he used to learn Masechta Nedarim with Ram. Probably some of you for sure learned already Masechta Nedarim. With the parish on Nedarim is the Ram. That's what you usually learn in Masechta Nedarim. And he said, why do I learn on Purim Masechta Nedarim with Ram? He says like this, because the biggest Mechias Amalek is to learn Gemara Nedarim with Ram. And he said, why? Because Amalek brings in all crooked things. Crooked thing, akmumiyut, how do you say it in, crooked akum, all akmimiyus in a person comes from Amalek. His heart should be crooked, his mind should be not straight, shouldn't think right. That's Amalek. The Ran is meyasher the seichel. It straightens out your mind, and that's why that's the biggest mechias Amalek, straightening out your mind. That's how the Avnei Nezer says. Now I heard from my uncle, Choshev Rav Reb Mordechai Oyebach. He lives in Tel Aviv, the son of Reb Shlomo Zalman Oyebach. Zecher Tzadik Levruche. He asks, why did the Avnei Nezer say Dafke in the Dorim with Ram? There's so many Rishonim, Rambam, Rashba, Ritve. The Ran is Meyashe the Seichel. What's the idea, Dafke, of saying Ran? He said, Gewaldig, if you learn Masechta in the Dorim with the Ran, we see over there that the Ran explains so good every Havamin of the Gemara. Every Havamin, not only the Maskana, he explains so well the Havamin that even after the Maskana, you can understand very good. In the Havamin, the Gemara thought that this way is right. The Maskana will say, no, this way is right. But we explain so good the Havamin that sometimes you could learn a Gemara and you could think, the Gemara had a mistake. The Gemara had a Havamin, and maybe we should say like this. Now the Gemara says, no, it's not right. If you look this way on Chazal, on Torah, that's not good. Because we know that in the Torah, everything is Torah Hashem. Even every Havamin is Torah Hashem. Even every Havamin is Torah Hashem. So how could it be that? But the Ran Take explains, even though we don't paskin like this, but he shows us how everything. So that could be, my uncle said, Shlita, that could be the pshat of Meyashe the Seichel. Because if a person should have such a machshava, that in the Torah could be anything not right, that's akmumis. That's called crooked, to look like this on the Torah. The Ran Masechta Nedarim shows us he's Meyashe the Seichel. He straightens our mind by showing that everything in the Torah is correct and right, even though we can't paskin like this. Like we see a lot of times Chazal say, Haluli metarin, Haluli metamin, and all were given, Kilam Maroya Echad Nitnu, the Gemara says the Chagige, Reb Meir and Reb Yosi, have a machloikis if it's Torah or Tumah. Both say Devar Hashem. You don't understand how. We pass like one of them. But both are Lamaise Chochmas HaTorah. And when you learn it, you're learning Devar Hashem. So this is what the Ran teaches us in Masechta Nedarim by every Havamina, understanding the Dvar Hashem in the Havamina. So I was moisiv on this, maybe because of that, when it comes to Shitzer and Shifzer, right after Purim. We finish with Mechias Amalek, and like we said, that Ran is Meyashe the Seichel, so we right away take the Havamin of the Eime Shitzer and the Eime Shifzer, and at least we don't say Tachna those 2 days, to show how much is Choshev to understand every Havamin is Torah, even though we don't pass that you can read the Megillah, Shitzer and Shifzer, but it's still Torah that we don't say Tachna those days. Was?
In the Tzura of the Oisius, of the Shem Ran, it starts Akum Kazeh, it starts
he says the Ram, the Reish is a little bit goes, it starts like this and it goes down and it finishes with a Nuen, it goes straight down. It takes the Akmumiyis and he's Meyashe the Seichel. Gewaldig, Meyashe the Seichel.
I heard once a very funny, it's exactly the opposite of how the Rav is approaching right now, but if I'm not mistaken, it was spoken in the name of Rav Chaim Shmulevitz. that one of his Talmidim saw by his makom in the Beis Medrash that there was a Lakutei Maran on the shelf.
Yeah.
And the Talmud says, what's this? What do you have? So he goes, no, it's nothing. It's just something I like to learn before I get into the Gemara. It strains out my head.
He said it on Lakutei Maran. It straightens out his head. So we're gonna have. I just said that I'm going to say something in the name of the Pachad Yitzchok from Bayan. So I want to mention a small zach. Once a person came to him and he said, Rebbe, I need a big Yeshua. He needed a Yeshua in a few things. So the Pachad Yitzchok from Bayan was a mechazik. And he finished off by telling him, strengthen yourself in Amina Betuchen. And you're going to have Amina Betuchen, you're going to be able to see B'siyata D'Shmai Bekorov, a Yeshua, salvation. You're going to get a salvation from Hashem. And this Yid understood from the Rebbe's words that in order he should be Zoichete or Yeshia, he has to have Amina Betuchen. So he cried out and he said, Rebbe, it's neither so not easy for me, it's hard for me to have Amina Betuchen. I can't have, in such a matzav, I can't have Amina Betuchen. There's an old story that once of the tzaddikim told someone he should have Amina Betuchen and he's going to have a Yeshua. I think it was by the Apterov, and that Yid was a smart person, and he says, Rebbe, we see in the Torah, Vayoisha Hashem Bayoim Ahu, and then it was Vayaminu B'Hashem V'Moshe Avdoi. First we have to see the Yeshua, then we're going to have Emuna. Vayoisha Hashem Bayoim Ahu, first Hashem helped them, then Vayaminu B'Hashem V'Moshe Avdoi. So this Yid told the Rebbe, it's so not easy for me, it's hard for me to have Amina Betuchen. So the Pachad Yitzchok right away understood that this Yid is afraid that if he won't have Amina Betuchen, he won't have the Yeshia. So he right away told him, you don't have to worry. Hashem helps everyone, even those that don't have Amina Betuchen. Don't worry. Hashem, in the end, He helps everyone. He helps everyone. Only those that have Amina Betuchen, it's easier for them till the Yeshua comes. But the Yeshua, Hashem sends salvation to every Yid, even though it's for those that don't have Amina Betuchen. By having Amina Betuchen, it makes it easier for you when you wait for the Yeshua, that you could believe that the Yeshua is going to come, Yeshua Hashem Ke'erefayin. And maybe I should say another small story. Once a Yid came to him, a father came and he said, Nebuch, my son went off the derech. But not only that, he went off the derech. He is in a, how do you call it, in a knesia, in a church? Called? No, how do you call it? In a
monastery?
Yeah, in a monastery. He is in a monastery and he is about to, the next few days, they are planning to, how do you say it? To convert Chadashim to Christian or to something else. And he was crying out. So the holy Pachad Yitzchok from Bayan told him, go to the place where your child is in the monastery and say my name. His name was Yitzchok ben Miriam. Say my name and Hashem is going to send the Yeshua. The father went over there and he said the name of the holy Rebbe, Yitzchok ben Miriam. And mamish, after a few minutes that he's walking around over there, he sees his son next to him and he tells him, Tati, father, let's run away, let's escape from here. They ran away. And he asked the child afterwards what happened. He said, I don't know. I was on the second floor. And in the middle, my heart started burning in me and saying, what am I doing? I'm going to leave the nation of Klal Yisrael. And it started burning in me so much. I thought, how do I get out? The room was closed. I opened the window. It was 2 flights up. I jumped down. Baruch Hashem, I made it. Then I ran to the gate around, and I jumped over. And I met you over there. You were standing over there. Mamish min hashamayim. Tzaddikim said afterwards on this story that such a story is a Baal Shem Tov story. If a Yid should have a koyach that by saying his name he should be mashpia on another Yid, such a hirachiva, that's called a Baal Shem Tov story. That's how the Behusha Rebbe from Tel Aviv said on this story. It's a mitzvah to be mefarsim. It wasn't too long ago. He passed away around 100 years ago, the Pachad Yitzchok. He said such a story is a Baal Shem Tov story. And I explained why did he say a Baal Shem Tov story? Because what's the definition of Baal Shem Tov? Baal Shem Tov. He is the balabos of a Shem Tov. Meaning to say, his name becomes they bring down in the Sefer Divrei David from Chortkiv, they bring down an interesting zach, that by the Heilige Rishonah, they once brought a kameya of the Smiches Chachomim. There was a tzaddik, the Smiches Chachomim, his name was Reb Naftule Katz, and he wrote a lot of kameyas, and he used to help with that a lot of Yidden. And the Chaim, while he was still living, the Smiches Chachomim, there was a lot of isnagdis against him. Why he's writing kameyas? Because a lot of Gedolim didn't hold from writing kameyas. But he went on, after his patira, once they brought a kameya to the Heilige Rishonah, from the Smiches Chachomim, and he said, I want to see what's written inside. So the Rebbe asked, they opened it up. It was said inside 2 words, Naftali HaKoyen. His own name, Naftali, his name was Naftali Katz, Naftali HaKoyen. So then the Heilige Rishonah explained that when a tzaddik is zoiche, he is mekadosh himself, his name becomes a Shem Kodosh, and you don't have to write Shaimis in order to be Mashpia, in order to work, to send away Chaz v'Shalom all Mekatrigim and Mazikim. His name alone is enough. He becomes a Shem Kodosh. This is what we say. Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, the Baal Shem Tov was called Baal Shem Tov. So if a tzaddik is oiche that by saying his name Yitzchok ben Miriam, you could be ma'oides so much in a person, a hidden achieve, that's called the Baal Shem Tov story. Hashem shall help, Zechisa, Miyugen Uleini, Valkal Yisrael, Amen.
Amen.